Hi and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be talking about Streamlit in 2024, and I'm going to show you everything that you need to know to get started and up and running with it quickly. Streamlit applications are built in pure Python. They look something like this, and they let you instantly build a React application. So why use Streamlit? Well, first of all, it's really easy to get used to the simple syntax of Streamlit. And you're going to be seeing some of that in this video as we cover how to create your first application and also how to get it up and running on a local server. It's also written in pure Python. This means that if you can write in Python, you can create a Streamlit application. This means that both of these features make it quick to develop, and then finally, you can also share a Streamlit application on Streamlit Share. In order to get started with Streamlit, you first need to install it. So let's go ahead and run pip install Streamlit. This is going to install Streamlit on your system. As you can tell, I already have it installed, and let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to use pip show Streamlit. And as you can tell, I'm using version 1.29. This is the latest version, and it's going to be what's used for everyone at the start of 2024. So that's going to be the main version that we cover throughout this entire tutorial series. In order to start using Streamlit, once you have it installed, we need to create an application file. Now this is going to be a standard Python file, and for this tutorial, I'm going to call this one o1_basics.py. Now that I've got my file created, you see that this is a normal Python file. One of the things that I can do in order to start using Streamlit is I can use the command import Streamlit as st. Now notice here that I am importing it as st. This is Pythonic, and this is the way all Streamlit documentation is written, and this is the way that you should write your code. Now the reason why you want to do this and conform to this convention is because anyone who reads your code is going to help you debug it, and they are going to expect that it's structured in this exact way. So go ahead and just start importing everything as Streamlit as st, and your life will be a lot easier. Once you've got this single line written, believe it or not, you've already got a Streamlit application made. To start looking at this application, we can run the command streamlit run, and we're going to run the file that we just created. In this case, o1_basics.py. And Streamlit is going to work its magic, and it already is up and running on our local host. Now, a local host is a local server. I like to do all of my programming of a Streamlit application all inside of VS Code. And so to do that, I can use the VS Code simple browser. So I can use Shift Command P, and then I can type in simple browser show, and then I can paste in this address right here. And when I do that, I'll have a simple browser pop up, and I can go ahead and put it just to the right side of my main application. Now, it might not look like much. In fact, it really doesn't look like anything, but this is an application, believe it or not. And I can prove it to you by starting to populate this application with some data. So let's go ahead and give our application a name. We can do that by using st.title. Now, st.title is going to expect one argument, and that's going to be a string, and it's going to be the title of this application. So let's go ahead and call this Streamlit app and hit save. And you'll notice when I hit Control S here, or Command S if you're on a Mac, we have this bit of information change over here. Let's break down what this is saying. It's saying that our source file has changed. Now, what does this mean? Our source file is this file right here, our Python file. And when we've changed it, it has noted that change. And in fact, if we go ahead and do another modification, hit save, we can see this kind of repopulate once again. But no matter what, we need to go ahead and click rerun. This is going to rerun our application, and we can see that we've already got our Streamlit application populated with a title. Now, I can't stress to you enough how simple this is to do, and how nice this is that in one line we can give some kind of data on our application. Not only with one line do we have an application built, but with the second line, we actually have a title in that application. Now, oftentimes, having a title isn't the only thing that you need. You need to also populate it with some kind of text that's not formatted in that way. So Streamlit gives you a bunch of different ways to import data into your application. The most basic one is st.write. And once again, st.write is going to expect a string. And this is going to be just some text. This is some text. And we're going to hit save once again. And when we hit save, we notice that once again, source file has changed. We can hit rerun, or we can select always rerun, so that every time we save our file, it just repopulates the application. But I'm going to go ahead and do this manually. So we see that st.write gives us the same kind of text, but it's formatted a little differently. This is because Streamlit goes ahead and takes care of all the formatting issues for you. So st.write is going to function as a regular, almost like a p tag in HTML, whereas your title is going to function as a title tag. Likewise, we can also create some headers. So I could say st.header, this is a header, and we can see some data populated as like an h1 tag in HTML or a header tag. Likewise, we could also input text data with Markdown. So if you're familiar with Markdown, you'll know that you can pass in special commands that indicate how text should be formatted. If you're not familiar with Markdown, it's another way of writing text in an extra marked up fashion, all using fairly structured syntax. For example, a double pound sign will indicate that we want to have a h2 tag or a second cased header. So we can say this is an h2 header. And once again, we can click save, rerun our application, and we see that we now have an h2 header. So we can use Markdown to go ahead and pass in different kinds of formatted text. This is very useful for advanced Streamlit features, specifically when you're trying to pass in some HTML. And we're going to see how to do that in a later video, but for right now, we're focused on just the basics. Another type of text that you can pass in is a caption. And again, we can use st.caption and pass in some kind of text. This is a caption. And this allows for us to once again click rerun, and we see that we have, again, Streamlit automatically formatting our text for us. I'm showing you all these different ways to interact with the application or put data onto the application with st.write, header, markdown, and caption, because oftentimes applications will benefit from this different kind of structure. And also it'll benefit from these different kinds of formatting choices. You don't want to always have one simple formatting method all the way across your application because it'll look boring and it won't give your application much dimensionality, which means it's very useful to have headers and raw text because you can separate out different sections of your application. And sometimes you might want to also be very explicit in how you divide things up. So one of the things that we can do is we can use st.divider, and we can go ahead and click rerun, and this is going to take no arguments, notice, but it's populated for us a long line across the application. So these are some ways that you can populate your application with some text and also give it some extra little features such as division lines. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video right here because in the next video, we're going to pop up with some widgets and how you can give your users interactability by dragging things, by manipulating data and populating the results. So go ahead, pause right here, play around with these features, and join me in the next video while we start diving into the more advanced features of Streamlit.